all fans to another episode of ACC Central. We continue our fall interview series with a Miami flair here. We've got Griffin Hugus, pitcher. Griffin, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and you are a new member of the ACC. This is actually going to be your third conference in 3 years, right?
Yes, this is definitely my not my first time joining a new conference, that's for sure.
Yeah. Because you were at Cincinnati before this, and they had they were in the AAC as a freshman when you were a freshman, and then as a sophomore they were in the Big 12. So, a lot of fun stuff. But before we get into talking about Miami, I want to talk about your summer because you had a monster summer up in the Cape. What was that like?
I mean, the Cape is just such a great place to be. It was such a fun place to play. Honestly, the success this summer came more from just being comfortable. My coaching staff there, Coach Landers, Coach Saldamakia, Coach Curtins were just so great being hands-on and positive that I was just able to really succeed because of just how great they were with me.
Yeah, I interviewed Garrett Michelle. His interview I think is going to be coming out on Thursday, and he was on that team with you, and he also stressed the coaching staff. And I keep forgetting about Slovakia. That must have been pretty cool to have a major league, catcher on at your disposal there.
It definitely helps. Just I have an older brother who's a catcher. He plays at Presbyterian, and he is just so great with helping me communicate how a catcher feels when I'm throwing and what to think about from their perspective. And then Saldamakia has that same kind of perspective, and he was able to call pitches all summer for us. And his just experience was so great, just being able to work with the pitching staff to understand what we can do to improve our pitching just based on the mental side of it and the pitch calling side.
Yeah, and in the playoffs, I believe you had. I don't remember. I don't think you gave up a run. If you did, you only gave up one, but you pitched about 10 innings, and was absolutely nails. I mean, what was working so well in the playoffs? I mean, you were really good all season long, but it's like you just turned into another level, at the end of the season.
I just was really confident in the coaches. Like they were really confident in me, and that gave me the confidence in myself. They just really wanted me out there, and I just was really excited that they wouldn't always go back to me and give me the ball when they wanted to, and it just was so influential. Just when you have a coaching staff that confident in you, and then the players on the team. I had such good friends in Davis Casepi and Blake Barthel and Tyler Fay. Those guys were so fired up to just see me out there. It's always great when you got teammates like that.
Absolutely, and what I loved is a lot of people may not necessarily look at the Cape Cod League as a serious kind of thing because they kind of look at, but you can see in the emotions that you guys have that it's your competitors. You're not playing meaningless games.
Yes, I mean there's no promises you're ever going to make it to a championship again. I know that I've played 2 seasons of college baseball now, and I really really want to make a regional, and I haven't yet. So I'm just playing hard for those championship games, those playoff games whenever I get the chance because you never know when you're going to get a chance to do it again.
Absolutely. And I was very grateful because I didn't get to see much of you at Cincinnati. So you really came onto my radar when, number one, we found out that you had decided to transfer to Miami. And I started paying attention because all of a sudden you're going to be in the conference, and the Cape Cod League is a great way to discover some of these new players that might be playing for your team. So did you hear from a lot of Miami fans or anything on Twitter or, anything like that? Because I know they can be kind of loud.
There was a lot of good feedback. I know I'm from South Florida, so a lot of people, just family and friends, were just very excited just for me to come back home, and that was a big part of my process in choosing a school was going somewhere closer to home that I really just wanted to play. And just, I mean, as a South Florida kid, you know how great Miami is. They're the program to play in South Florida. In Florida in general, really, they're the most dominant team usually, and I just really want to be a part of that.
Yeah, I noticed that because I went, just to do a little bit of research, and it's interesting that you ended up in Cincinnati kind of in the first place. But I'm sure that was a great experience. Very different culturally from South Florida. What was it like kind of adjusting first to like something like the weather and then just kind of a Midwest culture as opposed to, the South Florida culture?
It is just a lot different style of baseball. It's a lot more flashy in Florida, and it's awesome. It makes the game a lot of fun. And in Cincinnati, I love my time there. Those guys and teammates I got to play with were just so awesome and just bringing me in. And they knew that it was my first time being in the area, when we saw snow for the first time my freshman year, they were more excited than me almost for me to see snow for the first time. So it was just there's just such a great group of guys. It made it really easy to go play up there.
Yeah, I'm located in Virginia. I get to I managed to get to see all 4 seasons sometimes in one day. So, I understand somehow. I'm sure Cincinnati's similar. The other question I was going to have, Skyline Chili. What were your thoughts on that? Did you ever try any of that?
That might be the most thing I missed from leaving the area. That was definitely one of my go-tos after a long weekend on a Monday off day. It was Skyline Chili.
Thank you. I love to tell people how good it is, and a lot of people don't believe me. But I whenever I'm going through that area, anywhere that's close to Cincinnati, I'm trying to find the nearest Skyline Chili. So when I was in South Florida, I did see that apparently there is one in that area somewhere where you can get some Skyline. So you might have to search
Might
that.
make it over there.
Because I remember I was with somebody from Cincinnati, and they're like, "Hey, did you know there's a Skyline Chili like 45 minutes away?" And I think we were in Fort Lauderdale, and I was like, "What?" So you might have to search that up, see where that's at, see if it's convenient. What are the vibes coming to fall practice?
Just really, really positive. We got a great returner in Brian Walters coming back with the pitching staff, and he just has been just an unreal leader and mentor for all the new guys, being so many new transfer players, freshmen and transfers in the program. And him and Daniel Cuvée and Jay Kulikowski have just done a great job of just bringing everybody together and be able to be very positive. And Dorian as well, and that leadership of just the couple guys who were here last year and who have success in college, just being able to be so welcoming to all the new players, and it makes the culture just really positive so far. We're all really excited to get going with just so much competition and within each other to help each other improve and become the best team we can be by spring.
Yeah, it's interesting. Miami's season last year, they had their struggles, but they had a really good starting pitching staff that you saw from 3 guys. All of them went in the top 4 rounds. Had you already made your decision by the time of the draft, and was that kind of exciting to see that their development under Miami could be you next?
I had made my decision even before I even went up to summer ball this year. The coaching staff just had a lot of confidence in me from the opening of the portal until when I committed about a weekend, and I just was really excited to see where the draft happened because they had a pretty good idea. But Miami is just such a great place to get recruited out of college and go to the next level and play with just such a great baseball culture down here. I wasn't surprised to see those guys go so high. They were very successful college players, and it's just a great like representation of what the pitching staff is going to be again this year and what has been in the past because these coaches do a great job.
All right. So for people who aren't familiar with you, could you describe your pitch arsenal and your style a little bit?
I'm a fastball heavy pitcher. I only throw around 93, 94 average, but I just like getting in there with my fastball high in the zone. I have a slider, a harder slider, about 86, 87. I have a more depth curveball around 80, and then I have a changeup that's about 84. And I use a lot of my fastball. I really like just being able to challenge hitters. I used to play defense freshman year at Cincinnati, and I had about 130 at bats, and I was always challenged by the fastball line and had not a lot of success in the fastball. So I know how hard it is for hitters sometimes. Just throwing strikes does a lot.
Yeah, and you mentioned the high fastball, especially when it's done correctly, it's unhittable. So, but yeah, it's funny you mentioned being a two-way player just now. What was that experience like? You're the first guy I've been able to kind of question that on the two-way. Managing to do both as a freshman seems like a lot.
Coach Guggens at Cincinnati my freshman year had just a lot of confidence in me. He really wanted me to be a key piece in the defense and in the pitching staff. And it was just a blast to play for him and Coach Sprague and Coach Heilman. They just did such a great job of giving me that confidence as a freshman to go out there and play shortstop and pitch. And there was a lot of roles and there was a lot of ups and downs because college baseball is just so much different than anything you've experienced as a freshman, but it was really a blast. We actually did get the opportunity to play against Florida, so I saw Jack Caglione do it at a high level. So I was like, man, I think I can do that one day. But now that I'm just pitching, I definitely take that experience and I can use it just to understand how hard hitting is and be able just to have that understanding while you're pitching is important.
What kind of ended up making the decision to just go pitching full time? I think did you have like 2 at bats or 3 at bats last year?
Yes, I just with the new coaching staff at Cincinnati, we just really phased into more of a pitching focused role, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it at the get go, but I really just took on that role. And Coach Bishop last year had a lot of confidence in me to be a good pitcher, and I was really proud of what I had accomplished on the mound. And I felt like I could have had a lot of room to grow as a pitcher with really putting a lot of focus into it in the spring and being able to really lock in and hopefully improve my arsenal and my ability and my pitchability.
Do you miss hitting a bit? I mean, I imagine that's a probably obvious yes, right?
Yeah, hitting was a blast. I do miss it, but it is nice to just to have to focus on one thing now. That is,
Right, right. And I mean, if you're used to playing shortstop too, field and ground balls is a blast, but you can always do that during BP, right?
oh, if you ask the coaches up in the Cape this year, I was taking a lot of BP ground balls and first base reps and outfield reps because I just miss it a lot. But I do get my fair share of power shagging in now on in BP.
There you go. There you go. So, there's a lot of new faces, and you mentioned a couple of the guys. Are you throwing yet, or are you on a break because of how much you pitched during the summer?
We're right into it. We just started throwing a couple bullpens, and it's been pretty awesome. My roommate here, Will Smith from Coastal Carolina, has been awesome. He's an older presence in the locker room, and he just really helps the culture and everybody gel together. And I throw every day with Reese Lumpkin from Winthrop, and those guys just being from South Carolina kind of are similar vibes, but they're just awesome guys and really just a lot of veteran presence in the locker room, and they've been awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be really exciting to see the new pitching staff, especially since the roles are pretty much wide open from a season ago. So nobody's set in stone. So it's gonna be really exciting to see how it winds up for you guys. You see anybody that's particularly impressed you so far with their stuff? Or I mean, I'm sure everyone's impressive, but is there anyone that's really stood out?
Brian Walters is just he's an absolute just great pitcher. He's has just impressive stuff in general, and also Nick Roberts just has been awesome. He's just a younger guy that has a lot of room to grow, and he's already such a great pitcher. It's going to be pretty awesome to see him.
Yeah, and he mostly served in the closer role last year, which is a pretty big deal for a freshman, and he had some really great moments. But do you see anyone on the team that might have a chance at a big breakout year from the younger guys? I mean, Nick Robert already kind of had one, but anybody in particular that that you think could have a huge breakout year? I know it's a little bit tougher since you're transferring in, but
I think Kulokowski's just done a great job being a good locker room and veteran presence so far. Even though it's just his second year, he just has a lot of maturity, I think, and I would be very excited just to see what he's going to be doing this year.
absolutely, yeah. I was lucky enough to see him. I think he had a pinch hit home run in the ACC tournament, and that kind of just showed some of the trust they have in him. So that's exciting to see him get some more opportunities. So you talked a little bit about it, but was there anything else that kind of went into you choosing to go to Miami besides being closer to home? Did you grow up being a Miami kind of fan by any chance, or?
I had a lot of good family friends around me who were big Miami people, but my parents being from Northwest Indiana weren't necessarily any Florida sports fans of anything. So there wasn't a lot of internal pressure on which school to choose or where to go. These coaches just had such a great confidence in me. They recruited me before I even had some success this summer, and I was just really just excited to be able to play for a coaching staff who was just so excited to have me, and they just showed a lot of interest from the get go, and I really appreciated that when I went in the portal.
Yeah. Are you excited about to experience the Mark Light magic firsthand?
Yes, I actually had been to one playoff game here a couple years ago when they hosted, and my buddy Jacoby Long was playing center field. So I did see some of it then, and I was like, wow, this is a pretty special place to play. So knowing that going in the portal, I was already seeing what the mark could be like, and I'm excited to get it back to that kind of glory.
Yeah, I've not been lucky enough to get down there for that. That would be on the list for sure, especially a big time matchup. I mean, even last year with their struggles, they had their moments. They took 2 of 3 from Virginia, 2 of 3 from UNC, and that's 2 Omaha teams. So really, really exciting stuff playing there at home. What excites you the most about Miami baseball heading into the fall? There's a lot to be excited about, but see if we can narrow it down to one.
Just the competition, as you were saying, there's so many open roles, especially in the pitching staff and even defensively. I think everybody is just so excited to get going and started once we do start our inter squads and team practices. it's just going to be so much healthy competition and being able to earn roles and play against each other and see what we really have as a team. Because with so many new players, you never know what you have until you start playing against each other and seeing what you have. So I think we're all excited just to get out there and be able to compete against each other.
Let's talk a little bit about Daniel Couve, who is a machine. I don't remember. I'm sure you may have faced him during Summer Ball, but have you had a
I didn't
chance to
get the
see?
chance to.
You did not get a chance to. Okay, I thought you might have if you faced Brewster. But what have you had a chance to see him take BP or anything yet, or what's
I
that
mean, I
like?
saw him play this summer a couple times when I wasn't pitching, but he's just an awesome guy. Being beyond the on-field stuff, he just in the locker room and just as a person, just what an awesome guy and leader he's been. And I think that's going to be just such a big thing for the team in general this year, is because you have a guy who has so much success already, and then he's just such a positive guy in the locker room. He's able just to bring everybody around with him, and we're all going to be able to follow in his example of being just positive and a great locker room guy.
Yeah, his maturity level. He's one of those freshmen that I talked to and made me feel like I need to get my life together because, at 19 years old, he kind of seems like he has it all together already. You know what I mean? So it's impressive sometimes when you talk to those guys that they just have it.
That's just definitely a guy who he knows that other people are looking up to him to see what he's going to do, and he makes sure he handles his business every day at the field, and it's pretty impressive to see the younger guys look up to him. And even me as a guy older than him, I'm impressed, and I look up to him as a leader.
So obviously you're going to be experiencing a new conference, but we got two new schools coming in to help experience the conference with you. There might be some long trips. We don't know the schedule yet. You might know, I don't, but Cal and Stanford have joined the conference. Are you excited about the opportunity to play in California?
I've never been to California, so I'm excited. The farthest I've ever been west has been when we played at BYU last season. So I'm excited just to be able to see what they have over there, what kind of baseball it's going to be. I know RPI wise, the West Coast has always been a little bit complaining about their RPI. So hopefully that will even back out, and we can all see what the real best teams in the country are going to look like, and just have an exciting year. I mean, the ACC is just expanding into this power conference for baseball. It's going to be really cool.
Yeah, it's getting closer and closer to the SEC. I think it's there in terms of the teams, but now it's just about getting the championships to match up with it. So um, now we'll. Are you working on anything in particular here in the fall camp? Like just anything that you're focusing on? I'm sure that general improvement across the board. But is there anything specific?
We are doing a lot of work on refining my arsenal. I did a lot of work this summer, just creating new pitches. I had thrown mostly two pitch mix last year, so I've really kind of revamped all my breaking balls. I've revamped my changeup, and just being able to refine that and make it into a real four pitch mix and very precise. I feel like I did a decent job this summer, and I feel like that had a lot of help in my success in the playoffs because I had just made so much work with Coach Curtin this summer and improved my pitch mix. But I feel like I have a lot to grow.
Absolutely, that's exciting stuff. We're gonna move to some more fun stuff. This will be a little bit trickier, but it sounds like you guys have gotten pretty close, so you might already know the answer to these. But we're going to do some superlatives. I got three of them, I think. The team class clown. Who's making you laugh right now?
Will Smith is pretty funny. I mean, he's an older guy in the locker room, and he's just seen a lot of stuff, and he's just always has a way to crack a joke and make everybody laugh and bring us all together in a positive way.
Love that. Big transfer from Coastal Carolina. Excited for that. Glue guy. Who do you think's the glue guy for the team? Who's able to just hang out with everybody and always works hard and
I think
embodies Miami?
Brian Walters is a great glue guy. Everybody can kind of radiate towards him because he's just so positive, and everybody just knows that he really has their back, truly and genuinely.
Love that. And we've mentioned Brian a couple times, and I know he's had some issues with health. So just we're rooting for him to stay healthy and be able to watch him pitch a lot this season. And then lastly, how about the team leaders? I mean, you kind of already touched on this, and I guess we can just kind of reiterate it since it's
I think definitely for the hitters, it's Couve, and for the pitchers, it's Walters. And it's pretty awesome just to see those guys from the get-go be so positive. And everybody, all the new guys all need help with, maybe it's they don't even know where their class is because we're all new here, or maybe it's something that's more deeper. And when it comes to just team policies, and those guys are just great to be able to reiterate what we need to know and be very positive to everybody.
What kind of team bonding have you guys done? Because again, it seems like you guys are really close already, figuring it out. Despite all the new faces.
We just spent a lot of time at the field, to be honest. We all have practice in the morning, so we're all around the facility, and we all eat lunch together after practice around noon. And it's just been pretty awesome to do that. On Wednesdays, we all run together, we all lift together, so it's pretty cool just to have the whole team in the same area very very often at the field. And we've done some stuff where we went to the football game last weekend at home, and we all got out there and tailgated with our trucks. It was pretty cool. So it was pretty fun just to have everybody in the same situation outside of the field. But we're just the older guys have really made it a point to kind of try to build this culture from the get go, and it's been pretty impressive.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about the football team. It looks like I don't want to say it too early, but the U might be back football wise, which has got to be really exciting for everybody.
Yeah, I mean the football team is just what the baseball team is going to look like this year. I think is very
Yeah,
similar to what the football team looks like right now.
there we go. I love to hear it. All right. Have you go to food staple?
I'm a big milk person. I don't know if that's a food, but if that counts, I drink maybe a gallon of milk every other day. I finish it. I love just cold glass of milk in the morning, cold glass of milk for lunch, cold glass of milk for dinner. I can drink milk for every meal.
I love that. I love that. I love milk as well. All right. How about a go to food spot? If I'm coming down there, have you established one yet?
So far, I gotta think of places I go to often. There's a place, Three Chefs, right by the field. That's pretty awesome. And then there's this little deli called the Munch right next to the field. Has just unreal Cuban coffee and unreal subs,
Love
and
that.
I go there pretty often.
Love that. Yeah, I need to make sure I'm making my list for when I come down there. Making my list of where to check out. You mentioned going to a game at Mark Like Magic before. Did you get one of the milkshakes?
I don't think I did they're so popular. You have to really dedicate time, and I
Yeah,
didn't
and
want to
you'll.
miss any of the game. And I don't think we got there early enough to really capitalize on that. I didn't even know that it was such an important thing until honestly we were at the game and I was too late.
I've seen some pictures. Another reason why Mark Light's on my list is I want the milkshakes. The only problem is I feel like I would have more than one and I'd make myself sick, but there's
Might be
too many
worth it.
options. Yeah, it might be worth it. But yeah, hopefully you'll have a chance to try one at some point. Maybe on a day that you're not pitching and you'll just hang out. You'll just send somebody to go get you one. Um, okay. What is your dream job outside of baseball?
I would really love to just follow my dad's footsteps, be a firefighter. It'd be pretty cool. Just seeing how positive impact they have on the community. Just it's pretty awesome to see what he does every day.
Love that. Love that. Toughest hitter you faced in the Big 12 last year. We'll go with that since you weren't in the ACC last year. So, toughest hitter you faced in the Big 12 last year.
Hmm. My guy, Dylan King at UCF, he always had my number. Every time I faced him, I felt like he put up a good at bat. He was able to get a single or a double, and it was pretty just annoying to face him because I'd played with him prior, so he kind of knew what I had going for me. But he was definitely a beast when we played them.
That's gotta be fun. Is there a hitter that you're looking forward to challenging yourself against in the ACC? Obviously, like not somebody you're looking forward to necessarily because we don't want to have any bulletin board material, but somebody you're just excited to compete against or see while maybe in the dugout.
Canarilla on Clemson. I mean, I feel like everybody wants to face him because he just was so awesome last year, and I think with how hard he plays the game, it has to just be a fun game to play against him, especially as a pitcher. I know my brother last year, Presbyterian, had the pleasure of playing against Clemson, so he got to see him firsthand. So I know I want to go in there and hopefully finish up what my brother didn't get to do last year and beat Clemson. So I think it'd be pretty cool.
Love that, and he had a shoulder injury most of last year too, so he's healthy this year, so it'll be even tougher out,
I hope
presumably.
so.
Favorite Big 12. We'll start with favorite Big 12 ballpark besides Cincinnati.
Definitely BYU. That place was just, it was magical just being in the mountains and out there. It didn't even feel like you're really at any other place you could imagine playing baseball. It was just definitely really different. We had a coach who had been a strength coach at Utah Valley, which is just down the road. So he knew all the places to go get food. And we did a hike in the mountains one morning before a game. It was just pretty awesome getting to see the mountains and be out there in that ballpark.
Yeah, now that you've mentioned it, I'm seeing an image. I'm pretty sure I know what their ballpark looks like, and the mountain backdrop is special. I have not been there, but it sounds like another one to add to my list. If I ever get out there, it's a bit out of the way, but
It's hard to get out there, but it's worth it.
yeah. Last one, the ACC ballpark you're looking most forward to playing in, besides Mark Light, obviously.
I really want to go to FSU this year. I don't think we do because we played them away last year. I mean, I'm bummed out we don't get to do that, but I just think it's good. Such a great rivalry. I just really want to go in there and be able to play them and beat them. It'd be such a cool opportunity.
Yeah, Florida State's atmosphere normally is pretty good, but then you bring in the Miami rivalry into it, and I think it's on another level. So that's not a bad answer at all. But you'll hopefully get a chance, to see some other great ballparks. If not FSU, there's some pretty good ones in the ACC, and the crowds are pretty strong. So excited for that. That's all I've got for now, Griffin. It's been a fantastic show. I really appreciate you coming on. It's been a blast. Do you have anything else you want to share?
Just thank you so much for reaching out to me and be able to be on this. I'm very appreciative of it. I think just a great job just be able to interview me and just put a lot of positivity towards Miami this year. We're going to have a really good ball club. It's going to be really awesome.
Yeah, it's exciting, like we talked about, especially when, from my point of view, because there's no set positions, there's so much ways to speculate and try to plug people in when you're talking about it. So it gives us plenty to talk about before the season, which is always nice. But we wish you the best of luck. That's going to do it here for this episode of ACC Central. We'll be back in a couple of days, but for now, this is Monty Taylor and Griffin Hugus, and we are out. Go Canes.